Well, the Eagles have officially pulled off the unexpected, as one defensive player has surpassed all expectations for the Birds this season and has made the defense even scarier, but he's not the only one. Meanwhile, we're still waiting to find out exactly how long Lane Johnson could be out, but it seems like the Birds have the perfect replacement. Plus, Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni responded to the media attack on Jalen Hurts, while Kevin Patullo is somehow getting head coaching buzz. So let's talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. So the Eagles and Cowboys matchup is getting closer and closer, and while a lot of the outside noise has been about the Eagles' offensive struggles and the recent reports on Jalen Hurts and the drama surrounding that whole situation, it really does seem like the Birds are not paying too much attention to it.
What do you think about the fact that there are seemingly people in the building talking about Jalen through the media in a negative way?
Yeah, again, when there's not a name on it, I don't put a lot of credence into that. And, obviously, it's not good for me to read anything. I got to prepare to do my job, right? And if I'm thinking about other things, and so now when Bob preps me for it, I don't necessarily believe everything that's been being written. I just don't. I've been around long enough to know that, so I don't give it a lot of credence when there's not a name. And again, just don't fall into the trap of believing everything you see.
No surprise, Sirianni's downplaying the whole situation, and honestly, I'm right there with him. Like, at the end of the day, regardless of how you feel about the report or whether you believe it or not, the best course of action for Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, and the rest of the Eagles is to just block out the noise and treat this as any other distraction, which honestly, that's what it is. I mean, like I said in my last video, this whole thing has probably been blown way out of proportion. Now, could I be wrong? Yes, but ultimately, I think for the Eagles, everything's just going to be business as usual. Now, I'll get to Jalen Hurts' response to these reports much later in the video because he had his press conference today as well. Talking about the Eagles' offense in general, though, this week presents a huge opportunity for them to get back on track. As while the Cowboys aren't necessarily a bad team, their defense hasn't exactly looked great. And matter of fact, statistically, they've been one of the worst in the entire NFL through the first 11 weeks of the season. As like Elliot Shore-Parks on Twitter pointed out, they rank 31st in points allowed per game, 31st in points allowed per drive, 32nd in third down defense, 29th in red zone defense, 23rd in rushing yards, and 29th in passing yards. Now, they did have probably their best performance of the season this past week against the Raiders, but that said, it's the Raiders. I mean, it's one of the worst offenses in the entire league, top to bottom. So, safe to say, despite the fact that they did add some good pieces, this Cowboys defense is still pretty bad. And if the Eagles can't get things figured out on offense in this game, that would be pretty concerning. I mean, this is as good of an opportunity as they're going to get. Unfortunately, though, they are going to have to do it without Lane Johnson, as of course, the Birds' future Hall of Fame tackle suffered a Liz Frank sprain against the Lions, and initial projections have him missing 4 to 6 weeks and coming back right before the playoffs. However, something that I actually didn't get to talk about is the latest report from Jeff McLane that came out early Tuesday morning, which said although initial indications are saying it's just a sprain that's going to keep him out 4 to 6 weeks, the inflammation in Lane's foot still needs to go down before he can actually get an x-ray done to determine if he is in fact going to need surgery, meaning that it could be a week or more before the Eagles know exactly how long Lane is going to be out for this season. So, to me, it sounds like best case scenario, he's out just those 4 to 6 weeks and comes back for the playoffs, and that's probably the most likely scenario, or maybe the x-ray might reveal something bigger that requires surgery, and he could be out for even longer, possibly the rest of the season. Now again, we still won't know for probably over a week, and I am optimistic about it. I mean, again, they are saying it's likely just a sprain, and in that case, I might honestly just sit him until the playoffs anyway, just to get him as healthy as possible, but regardless of how long it is, losing Lane is no doubt a big blow to the Eagles' offense. I mean, even go back to that Lions game where he got hurt, and you'll find this rep where he absolutely manhandled star pass rusher Aiden Hutchinson for like 8 seconds. Like, he was still clearly playing at a superstar level, so definitely praying he comes back at some point. On the bright side, though, at least the Eagles have a replacement that we can feel confident about in Fred Johnson.
Obviously, Lane's one of the best players in the NFL, so it makes you do a couple different things here and there. We have a lot. With that being said, I have a lot of faith in the guys. With Fred, you look at past experiences and you show Fred playing really well against against Cincinnati last year or whatever the game may be. And so, like I said, I have a lot of faith in him. There's a reason why we were putting him in to play in those big packages. Because we have a lot of faith in him, and for what we were trying to do, We felt like he was one of our best 11 to do what we were trying to do on those particular plays. So obviously the faith is high there, and he's earned that.
I have a lot of confidence in Fred. He's a great player. He's shown that, and he's always stepped in and been an anchor for us. So obviously Howie's very intentional in what he does, and we all have confidence in Fred. He had confidence in Fred, and I know he'll relish in this opportunity that's ahead of him.
Don't get me wrong, Big Fred is no Lane Johnson, but he is a very quality backup tackle that has played a lot of football for the Eagles over the past couple seasons. And whenever he has played, whether it's been as an extra lineman or it's been as a starter both on the left and right side, he's been really, really good, and the Eagles still have been able to win games. I mean, Anthony DeBona pointed it out here, as since joining the Eagles in 2022, Fred has played 50% or more of the offensive snaps in 11 games, and in those games, the Eagles are 9-2. And if you want to go back and look through the games where Fred started or has played a lot the past couple of years, he really only has had one bad game, that being the loss against the Bucs last season, where really the entire team looked bad. But other than that, Fred has played at a really high level. So again, he's no Lane Johnson, but Fred is more than a capable replacement, and I definitely have confidence in him moving forward. Also, side note, the Eagles did make a roster move to activate the rookie tackle Myles Hinton's 21-day practice window after he spent the entire season stashed on IR, which, that's obviously in response to Lane's injury. And also, getting back to Fred Johnson, you gotta shout out Howie Roseman for just going out and making that trade to bring him back before the season, because this injury to Lane would be even more significant if they didn't have Fred. And that's not the only thing that Howie deserves credit for, because 11 games into the season, the Eagles have now officially pulled off what I don't think anybody else outside of Philadelphia was expecting. As of course, a lot of the attention this offseason went to some of the Birds' key offseason departures, with defensive tackle Milton Williams in particular being one of the guys that people said that the Eagles would miss the most. And while this is in no way a knock on Williams, who is having a good season with the Patriots, until he unfortunately just got placed on injured reserve, I do think it's safe to say that the Eagles have found a more than serviceable replacement for him, and potentially even an improvement, that being Moro Ojomo, as the 2023 7th-round pick has been playing out of his mind this season, and has quickly become a key piece of this Eagles defensive line. Which again, for people outside Philadelphia, that might be a surprise, as Ojomo was largely unknown coming into the season, but for us Eagles fans and the guys that are in the building, it's really no surprise what Ojomo's been able to do so far.
Yeah, this guy, I wish you could see the everyday process that he goes through. It's not a surprise to me that, and it may be a surprise to everybody else, or I don't know. I don't know what the thought process is there, but it's not, when I see a guy work the way he works on a daily basis, consistently, over and over and over again, and you guys get to see how hard he plays in the game. I mean, his motor is constantly running, and he can't turn that off. Like, he does that in everything that he does. He does that with how he leads his teammates. He does that with how he practices. He does that with how he walks through. He does that with how he meets. And it's like, a guy like that who loves football, who's ultra tough, who gives everything he has every moment, God willing, those guys are going to reach their ceiling. They have no choice. There's no other choice. Like, you can't put in the work that he puts in with the relentless effort that he puts it in with and not reach your ceiling if God willing. So, as good of and as talented as he is, as you hear it in my answer, it's all about the other stuff that he has, in his, with how he kind of goes through about his business.
Moro Ojomo in 2025 has been better for the Eagles defense than Milton Williams was for them in 2024 up to this point. I mean, just looking at the basic numbers, Milt had 5 sacks in the regular season last year, while Ojomo already has 4 this year. And then diving a little deeper and looking at these numbers from Elliott Short-Parks, last year, in 21 games, Milt had 54 pressures, which was 10th in the NFL, but this year, through 10 games, Ojomo already has 35 pressures, which is 3rd in the NFL, and he's currently on pace for 60 in 17 games and 74 in 21 games. Not to mention that he's also towards the very top of the league in stats like hurries, pressure rate, and pass rush win percentage. So, bottom line, Moro Ojomo has become a standout pass rusher and player for this Eagles defense, and someone that they legitimately have to consider extending in the near future. That said, he is just one of many star defensive tackles that the Eagles have. I mean, we obviously talked about Jalen Carter in my last video, but also Jordan Davis has really broken out this year and has become a bona fide star for Philly. And actually, his performance this past week, in which he had 3 pass bat downs against the Lions, actually earned him NFC Defensive Player of the Week. So shout out to him, he definitely deserves it. And again, he's another guy that has really broken out and taken his game to the next level this season, which you love to see.
Yeah, just proud of him, because I think what a great example of, the world that we live in today, instant gratification. And, he had to go through some ups and downs, always has made plays for us, whether, starting in 2022. But there's been ups and downs in his career. And he's just continued to put his head down and work. He's got himself in the best shape of his life. I think he's seeing that, and it's paying off. And yeah, just can't say anything more, but just happy for him, and because of all the work that he's put into to get that acknowledgement that he got from the NFL, and he's been playing really good football, and that. Yeah, it's awesome to be able to talk about those guys like Moro and Jordan, and their continued development, because they're really helping us win games.
Love what Sirianni said there. I mean, sometimes for some players, it just takes time, and we have to understand that as fans. And overall, love to see guys like JD, Ojomo, Jalix Hunt, and others breaking out and continuing to play well for this Eagles defense, as again, they continue to trend upwards and just get back to their 2024 form. For the offense, though, it's obviously been a little bit of a different story. Still, though, that apparently hasn't stopped offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo from being considered as a potential head coaching candidate for 2026, as Tom Pelissero listed him, along with 23 other guys, as names to know for the 2026 head coaching cycle, citing that the Eagles still have an offense that ranks in the top half of the league, the Eagles are 8-2, and 2 of Sirianni's last 3 offensive coordinators before Patullo ended up getting head coaching jobs. So if they keep winning, Patullo could make sense to be the third. And as an Eagles fan, I'll say this. I mean, Kevin Patullo is the best thing that's happened to the Eagles in 2025. So I sure hope they don't lose him, because I don't know what they'd do without him.
Yeah, boy.
Moving on, though, the Eagles were obviously back out on the practice field for the first time this week on Wednesday, and pretty much everyone was healthy and practicing, besides, of course, Lane Johnson, and also center Cam Jurgens, who, of course, left the Lions game after getting banged up again. And hey, I guess what else is new, right? Because Cam has been beat up the entire season, and it's really affected his play. I mean, you could see it against the Lions. Like, watch this play right here where he whiffs a block and then basically tackles Saquon in the backfield. And, this is an extreme example, but Cam just hasn't looked right all season. So considering that, if he misses the game this week, then maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, he'll have a chance to rest up and get healthy. And in the 2 games that Brett Toth has played this year, he's been pretty good, and honestly, maybe even better than Cam in a lot of ways. That said, we'll just have to wait and see what happens throughout the week. Also, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Jalen Hurts spoke on those reports about him during his press conference on Wednesday, and it really seems like he's not too concerned about it.
Just go to work every day. Go to work every day and continue to go out there and try and do my best.
Being in the position you are as a starting quarterback in this league, does that kind of come with the territory? And how do you learn to deal with those?
I think it definitely does. And, I take a lot of the responsibility when things are going. I guess I get a lot of attention when things are going well and when things are not going so well. And so I never run away from holding myself accountable. And I think, that's exactly what I've taken the approach of doing. When I look at this last game, I take great pride in what we do on offense. I take great pride in how we go out there and play as a team and what our flow is. And so we obviously got work to do, and I think that obviously starts with me. That's always my approach. That's always me looking internally first in everything that we do, and then in due time rising above.
If there are frustrations from your teammates or coaches with you, do you feel like you're open to them coming to you with?
Well, I can't get into hypotheticals of if. Ultimately, it's about coming in here and working and leading and bringing good energy and going out there and showing about how you work. At the end of the day, we come out here we are here to play as a team and to play together and go out there and find ways to win. And so that's where we all have our focus at.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like Jalen and seemingly everyone else, I'm just ready to move past this, and I really don't think it's a huge deal. That said, you guys know that I'm going to be continuing to cover everything else that comes out this week in the lead up to the Eagles matchup with the Cowboys, so if you don't want to miss anything, make sure you subscribe and you turn on notifications, and also drop a like down below to show some support, because it really does help me out a ton. Let's see if we can get to at least 500 likes on today's video, and also hit the hype button, because that helps me out a ton as well, and leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. And if you do want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.